Good afternoon, our special guests of honor.
Good afternoon, Graham.
I welcome you to Battle Pitola. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. Battle Pitola is a YouTube channel that talks about law, Nigerian law mainly, but law in general, law for the layman, for the law student, and for the lawyer. So hopefully, we always hope that each person will find something of value on the channel. So we have a series called Podcast with Ola, where we bring seasoned experts with experience, to come and talk about different aspects of law. So today, we have with us on this channel a seasoned lawyer of plenty years, and she has come to talk to us about her area of expertise, which is sexual and gender-based violence. So we're going to be talking about it from a legal point of view. It's a contemporary issue. It's something that we almost interface with daily, if not personally. We hear of someone, we read the news, and all of that. So it's something that we should talk about. So on the channel today, I have with me Mrs. Tomi Vera Popoola. So I'm going to read her bio. It's a very long bio, so I'll see if I can shorten it. I hope not. So, and then we're going to go right into the session. So Tomi Popoola is a dedicated legal practitioner with over 10 years post-qualification experience. She has worked in different law firms, she has worked in different capacities across different areas of law, litigation, legal drafting, social work. So currently she's working in the sexual and gender-based violence response team of a state government in Nigeria, where she responds to complaints bordering on sexual and gender-based violence and helps victims, survivors of sexual and gender-based violence gain access to legal, medical, and psychosocial support. So today she's going to be talking to us about that aspect of law. I brought her because I wanted to talk about this. I've seen her in action, and I know that this is something that she's very passionate about and capable of. So she would be sharing her experience with us, and she would also be telling us what the law is, what the practical angles are. And I hope that we're going to have a wonderful session. So I welcome you to the channel, my special guest of honor. If you've been a member of Battle Pitola before, you would have seen her on the channel before. She's in like 2 videos. I'm not going to tell you which and which, but she's in at least 2 videos on this channel already. Probably even she doesn't know, but I know, and the people that have been watching the channel very well. So this is the third video.
I
So
do.
welcome,
I do. Thank you so
welcome,
much.
our
Thank you
special
so much,
guest.
Graham.
Yes. So here is where we pause, Abby.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Or
So
I can do a little until maybe he calls me again.
okay.
He told me he was on his way. Yeah.
Okay, on this way. Okay. So
Okay.
first question. So to start with, what is sexual-based violence? Or maybe we take it together. What is gender-based violence? What is sexual-based violence? And what's the difference between the two?
All right. So basically, gender-based violence is like a very big umbrella, which covers or houses sexual-based violence.
Okay.
So gender-based violence basically is a kind of abuse, a kind of human rights violation meted out to a person because of the gender they belong to or claim. And usually, and from the background of GBV, we would realize that women are mostly targeted. They are the set of people, they are the gender that are the target of GBV. And so in some other crimes, GBV means gender violence against women. So it is
Okay.
being used interchangeably. But then there's another variation to it, like that gender-based violence, it's not limited to women. It now covers a kind of abuse meted against men equally. And so looking at the background, that is, it is equal to violence against women generally, we realize that women are basically targets of sexual abuses. So, sexual based violence is a form of gender based violence if
Okay.
we look at it from that angle.
Okay. So one is inside the other. Okay, that's the difference.
Yes,
So,
yes, that's
what
the
what
difference.
are some of the laws governing gender and sexual-based violence in Nigeria today?
Okay, we have various laws, but the most paramount is the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act that
Okay.
was enacted in 2015.
Mhm.
We equally have the criminal code, the penal code in various states. The penal code applies to the northern states, while the criminal code applies to the southern states. We equally have the Child Rights Act that was enacted also, and I'm sure they have been domesticated by all or almost all the states within
Mhm.
the federation. So we have some states have um, widows laws,
Okay.
widows protection laws. They have widows protection laws. Some other states have harmful practices
Against
prohibition
women. Okay.
protection law. But you know, these laws, some of these laws have been subsumed into the VAP Acts.
Okay.
And so the VAP Act covers a wide range of some of these offenses, such that it has rendered most of these other laws inoperative. For instance, the Violence Against Women's Acts, which was domesticated in various states, these acts are no longer operative. They have been repealed by the Violence Against Persons
Prohibition.
Prohibition Act to accommodate other gender. I mean the other gender. We are in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Should we
you're
continue?
welcome. Yes, please. He has not called.
Okay. So, I'm glad that you mentioned the VAP Act. It's like the overarching law now. You know,
Yes,
most of the other laws have been subsumed into it. So,
subsumed.
yes. So, what are the emerging trends in the legal space regarding sexual and gender-based violence? You know, the laws, the new laws, new definitions, new enforcement modules, judgments, directions, the whole works. So, can you tell us some of the emerging trends in that field?
All right. So in Nigeria, we have what we call the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. It was enacted in 2015, yes, and most states have domesticated, they've adopted it, and they have their laws in that regard. One interesting thing about the back law is that it has introduced, or let me say, modified most of the things they were usually seen as domestic issues has been criminalized,
Mm.
and it's a good thing anyway. Before now, the issue of domestic violence used to be brushed aside by our law enforcement. You know, agents, they will tell you, oh, no, that's your family matter, go and
Mhm.
settle this and that. But then this law has introduced or has criminalized such actions. So there is no way a spouse will beat up his other spouse and say, oh, it's just a family matter. So this law has made provision for the prosecution of such acts, which has been criminalized.
Okay.
A very interesting aspect, another interesting aspect of this law or acts is the criminalization of verbal, emotional, and psychological abuses. Before now, people could get away with whatever they say to you or whatever the outcome of what they say to you, they can just easily get away with it. And before now, we only have, a remedy in civil action where you can claim damages for such things. But now these acts have been criminalized. So you can actually sue somebody for verbally abusing you
Mm.
and emotionally or psychologically abusing you. And this is actually helpful not only in domestic relationships, even at workplace.
Mm.
It extends to the workspace. So if you are abused in all or one of these ways, aside the civil remedy that you are entitled to, you can actually push for the prosecution of the perpetrator.
So if
A very interesting,
I'm sorry
yes, please.
to interject, if you're if you've been abused at the workplace, it still has to be
Yes.
sexual abuse or gender abuse, right? Not just any form of abuse.
Okay. Oh, like I said the other time, sexual-based violence is
Mhm.
a form of gender-based violence. So I'm still coming to that, to the
Okay.
sexual abuse. It is also, it has also been given a wider, definition under the BAP Act. Usually people think when you put a penis in a vagina, that's without the other person's consent is what rape is. No, this act has given it a wider definition. So you can actually insert either penis or any object when you insert it into any hole into the body of the other person without the person's consent. That
Mhm.
is now rape. Yes, and I think
That's
most of
broad, really broad.
yes, most of the states have taken a cue from that by amending their own criminal codes,
Okay.
to embrace that. So even if you don't want to charge under what looks like a VAP law in your state, it can still make by way of amendment incorporate these in criminal codes at different states levels. I'm sure Lagos State has done that already. I'm not sure about other states. So that's a whole, it's a whole lot. It
Yes. Yeah.
has it has shifted the attention from women or girls being the only victims. So as it is, this law has made provision or has encompassed a situation where even a male,
Mhm.
you understand, can be a victim of sexual violence, sexual abuse. So that is rape. One of the aspects of the sexual abuse. There is what is called sexual harassment also, which usually goes on in workplace. It's a form of sexual abuse.
Yes.
Do you understand? So irrespective of gender, irrespective of whatever you identify with, you can be sexually harassed at workplace. If somebody is asking to touch you in a particular way before you get an advantage which ordinarily you should be entitled to at the workspace, that is an harassment. You understand? So and anybody can fall victim of it. But like I said, looking at the background, these all sexual and gender-based violence and came from the background that women were usually, in the past, the major, targets of sexual abuse. And that is why most of these offenses are gender-based or gender abuses. But now with the coming in of the back law, anybody identified as whatever gender can fall victim of SGBV as it is. So that is the
That's
emerging trend
interesting.
that we have in Nigeria now, and it has made us, a bit at par with, most countries in the world. We might not be there yet, but at least gradually
We're making progress.
Yes.
It shows commitment. It shows commitment to
Yes.
these issues.
Yes.
So we must
Yes.
also thank the people that are the vanguards of doing this. People like you. Thank you very much. So you've touched on definitions. You've touched on
Yes.
new laws. When we talked about
Yes.
the emotional aspects now being criminalized, the definition as per rape, being expanded. How about the enforcement modes? And maybe if you want to discuss maybe one or two decisions, that have
All
emerged
right.
out of this.
Criminal prosecutions are guided by procedural laws. So to prosecute such offences, the bulk of the work lies in the criminal procedural laws in each state. At the national level, we have the ACJL,
Okay.
and the prosecution of these abuses are nothing different from the prosecution of every other criminal cases. And that is why all hands needs to be on deck with starting with the law enforcement agencies, whichever one that might be employed. A complaint needs to be formally lodged.
Okay.
And in some states, I am aware of your states, the medical people, the Ministry of Health, and the relevant MDAs, they have come up with the medical procedures, in attending to survivors of GBV. So there is a procedure aside lodging a complaint with the law enforcement, agents. There are medical procedures that should be followed in order to preserve, evidence. So these medical people work hand in hand with, are expected to work hand in hand with the law enforcement, agency, and then to get the evidence preserved. For instance, in cases of rape, these guidelines that the relevant ministries have come up with says you shouldn't wash up, for victims or survivors of rape, especially, do not wash up and let this person go straight for examination, medical examination, and all that. Then, even for physical violence, don't treat. Pictures, photographs are to be taken first. Do you understand? First, before anything is done. And if it's a space where there are other eyewitnesses, recordings are encouraged. And if that is not gotten, even right at the law enforcement offices, these can be gotten. And because this is an issue that requires a multi-sectorial, approach, aside the medical people, aside the law enforcement agencies, there is also a provision for a psychosocial support. Survivors may be traumatized. Usually they are traumatized. Survivors may need, therapy, quite a number of sessions, therapeutic sessions, to heal up and to find their footings. So that is also there. And then the legal support comes in after the law enforcement might have done their job, the medical team, might have done their job. So the legal team takes it up from there and then go ahead to, prosecute the perpetrators. And while this is ongoing, the psychosocial support is being rendered, to the survivor also. So that is basically the procedure. I am aware that various states have agencies who take care of these things. I don't know if it has been replicated in all states, but I'm aware of some states who have a specialized agency for this. And so all these supports that I have mentioned, once you get to this agency, you are you are going to get all the support that you need. Some agencies go as far as having law enforcement divisions in their premises, so
Okay.
that once you are not tossed about, you get all the necessary supports that you are supposed to get.
Wow, that's a really robust system
Yeah.
that you have explained, and I'm happy that it works that way. As you were talking, I remembered or I recalled that back in 2019, I was practicing in Edo State, and I remember we had a case of it was rape, but two things that I want to bring out from that. The girl was a school girl, apparently. So what happened was that our neighbor had been sexually abusing her. When we took up the case, we were working with the Ministry of Women Affairs, I think, or and the office of the First Lady at the time, because she was quite proactive, about cases like this. So I remember that I had to take her for HIV tests. And yes, when I went, I was wondering why, as a lawyer, I'm taking a client for HIV test. Like, are we medical personnel?
Okay.
But I noticed as you were speaking, I just recalled now that when we went to get the test results, the officer, the lady, she seemed to be aware, like probably something they do. So it wasn't like because it was new to me, but it was act like, oh, this is a surprising situation. What happened? What's this? What's that? She was quite empathic, and she just
All
um
right.
handled everything discreetly, because it was a long
And
queue of people and everything.
professionally.
So that's the second thing I want to bring out, that these systems, I'm glad that they are in place, and people know what to do, once the process has been kick-started. And then the third thing that I want to bring out is that these things, if they are not the issue of being washing up, and all of that, in cases like this where maybe the abuse has gone on for a long time, that would mean that it might be more difficult to prove. Because I also recall the case of Busola Dakulu. It's been a long while, before she made a complaint and started the process. So, it may be difficult to prove some of these aspects of law, of these laws, if people are washed up, probably
Yeah.
even moved on with their lives and all of that. And that would lead me to my next
Yeah.
question. Is rape, not just
All
rape,
right.
and many of these laws that are contained in the VAP Act, sexual and gender-based crimes, are they time-bound in terms of seeking redress?
Oh, criminal cases generally are not time bound. There is nothing like a statute of limitation when it comes to criminal cases.
Okay.
But then, criminal cases are proved based on evidence. And even if you have the whole facts and there are no evidence to back up your claims, it could be very difficult to convince the judge. So it's the reason why sensitization is ongoing, that once these things happen, please do not hesitate to go to the appropriate quarters, because it doesn't, if you go late, it doesn't mean that those things did not happen, but
Okay.
because you need to prove them
Mm.
and you do not have evidence to say, oh yes, to back your claims or the fact for the person, the survivor may likely lose, may likely lose that. So it's part of the sensitization ongoing, that people should please learn to speak up. It will be easier if it has been on over a period of time and then you couldn't keep tab of the previous ones, but there is a particular one, that can be pinned
Mhm.
and then can serve as circumstantial evidence to prove the previous ones.
Okay.
It's a different case. But then this went on a long time and then it stopped. And then maybe after 5, 10 years, you just suddenly, jolted up and say, oh, I need to criminalize, I need to commence criminal proceedings against this person. Your facts may be correct. You will be right. But what are the things that will back up your claims? Because in a court of law, claims, facts must be proved strictly by the evidence. And so when there is no evidence, the hands of the courts are tied. So please, it's part of our sensitization program that people should please speak up immediately these things happen.
Okay, thank you very much. So, a follow-up question: who can speak up or who can start the process? I'm asking
All
this
right.
because in some cases it could be maybe your neighbor is being battered by a husband or his wife, and maybe they do not even realize that what they're going through is now a crime. Can you speak up on their behalf? Can you file a complaint, or maybe
Oh,
a
yes.
auntie in town and you have noticed that a child is being abused? Can you go file a complaint? What's the local standing issue?
All right. So lodging complaints of such nature is not limited to the victims or survivors.
Okay.
Any concerned citizen, it can be even the parents of the survivor, it can be the neighbors. And in criminal cases, it's a case being prosecuted by the state. So usually whoever comes to complain does not even really count because at that moment the state takes it up. It becomes a matter, of the state. So whoever has knowledge, anybody who has knowledge of this abuse going on, can actually come on board to lodge complaints on behalf of the victim. There has been various instances that people walk in to say as a concerned citizen, they
Okay.
want to do this, they want to lodge this complaint, they want to, and we try as much as possible to protect, those people, the informants. We try
Okay.
to protect their identities, and
Thank
that's a way
you.
to go. It's a
Thank you
welcome
very
development,
much.
actually.
So, as a practitioner, in this,
But But then the only problem, or sorry to cut you short,
yes, no
the
problem.
only problem or challenge we have in that regard is that most times the victims, the survivors themselves, when someone usually comes to speak on their behalf, by the time they are called upon, for investigations and all that, they will be like, oh no, but I'm not complaining. I'm not doing that. I'm not complaining. And that is why the state exercises its power. Because this is a criminal case. It's no longer lies with you. Whether you are the state picks it up and then takes it up for prosecution, despite the reluctance of the victim or the survivor. The only thing is that at trial, the prosecutor may have a challenge because it's like the star witness, is trying to become hostile, not cooperative. But if there are other facts, be it circumstantial or documentary that can buttress the complaints, the state is good to go.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So, in your practice so far, what would you, from observation, say is the major challenge to enforcing the laws or to redressing sexual and gender-based violence?
All right, that is what I just mentioned. One of them is what I just mentioned that when victims become cooperative, it's a major challenge. It's a major challenge in getting the perpetrators what they deserve. But like I said, there's a way out it. There are strong circumstantial evidence and documentary evidence, before the courts. That is enough. That's sufficient to get the perpetrators the punishment he or she, deserves. Another thing, another challenge we have is lack of wider publicity and sensitization. A lot of people are being abused and they are not aware that they are being abused. And
Ignorance.
yes, because yes, they do not know that there is a provision of the law that has criminalized the things they are going through. So we still have a long way to go. It's as bad as some of the divisions of these law enforcement outfits do not know. I have personally given out backlogs to divisions of, I don't want to mention in one of the law enforcement
Okay.
yeah, outfits or agencies that we have, because when we usually tell people, okay, please get the nearest police station to you and lodge a complaint, and then people come back to tell us that, oh no, they say no, they can't handle such a case, especially if it is domestic violence. They say they can't handle such a case, it is not within their, oh no. So until we usually go around to educate the heads of those divisions and give them sections of the law that provides for those things, they will not take the complaints of the survivors.
Okay.
So it is another challenge that we are having. Lack of sensitization, both on the part of the public and even the people. The nature of their job, they change them often. They change stations, there are transfers. So even if you train some set of people today, tomorrow they are gone, and the new person doesn't know new law. So it requires, like I'm offering solutions to the problem now, that's constant or continuous sensitization to major stakeholders, like even the law enforcement agencies, should be looked into, definitely. Right. Another major challenge that we have um, around or concerning the enforcement of these laws is family members. They try to cover some of these things up. So I would say majorly we have this cultural problem. Our culture seems to trivialize these issues, despite the fact that there is a law in place that has criminalized it. Our cultural and religious belief, yes, definitely, have been a major, impediment in the enforcement of these laws. We have seen situations where religious leaders will come and say, no, let us try to cover this up. This shouldn't go out. If it goes out, it will put us in a bad light. It will put our religious organization in bad light. So, because of that, most of these abuses are covered up and they don't stop, they continue. But because, oh no, it can't be said amidst us that somebody that is part of our congregation is prosecuting this social person, his partner, his spouse, for some of these offenses. Then the cultural belief, there is usually this Yoruba saying that you don't go to court and come back as friends. It's also a major impediment because uh, it's like I would say our culture even tries to buttress or support most of these abuses because there is a meet around marriage. It's or it's hard. You are supposed to stay in them. And then this cultural abuse encourages GBVs the more, and then it has been very difficult for the implementation and enforcement, of these laws, especially when it comes to emotional and psychological abuses. You hear stuff like, "Oh no, he's not beating you. Is he beating you? No, he's not
Exactly,
beating
exactly.
you. So what do you want? What else do you want?" And over time, we have realized that even emotional and psychological abuse seem to be worse than physical abuses because they seem to be silent killers. And it's the reason we have most people out there today with mental health issues. That kind of form of abuse is a silent killer. And then people ask you, what else do you want? He's not beating you. She's not harassing you. She's not eating you. So what do you want? What else do you want? So people have not really stayed in tune with this law that these are actual crimes. And I would say mostly because we have not seen cases, or most prosecutorial or legal personnel have not seen cases to serve as deterrence to the people. So if we have more of those cases being prosecuted, I think it will be enough awareness that you can go scot-free if you emotionally and psychologically abuse people. So lack of cases to prosecute also, it's part of the problem that we are having, aside the cultural and religious belief that we have regarding
Thank you so much. I'm glad that we touched on all the stakeholders, We talked about
yes,
it
yes,
from the uh, society's angle, from the
yes,
prosecutors or the enforcement agents' angles, and also I do from the victims' angles in terms of ignorance. And I think one other thing is fear. That's the most potent
of
tool that
stigmatization.
perpetrators use to control their victims, especially
Yes.
in cases where the victim is underage or has something to lose. So, as you were talking, I was recalling a host of cases, sexual
Oh,
and
yes.
gender-based violence cases that I've handled, I recall when I was a prosecutor, we were in court one day and it was so hilarious. Defense counsel came to court to tell the court that we, the prosecutors, we are not serious. We don't even want to prosecute our case. We don't even know where our victims, our nominal complainants' whereabouts, our witnesses' whereabouts, because of course it was an underage girl and the father was a complainant. So who is our witness, our civilian witness, that we don't even know where they are? That he
Yes,
has
child
them in court
witness.
and he has an affidavit that they've sworn that they are no longer interested in the matter. He
In the
brandished the
matter.
affidavit and pointed to our witness. And we don't even know where they are. They are here in court and they have assured him that they are no longer going on. It was so funny because that day the court now turned to us that what do we want to do? And then I
Exactly.
remember that
I
by
think
the
I have
time,
addressed that for him. That is where the state's power, the prosecutor's power comes into play. Because we have given survivors, we have given complainants so much confidence that without you, these
the
cases
case will
cannot go
not
on.
go on. Yes,
Yes, but
yes,
the narratives need to be changed.
exactly,
Like
exactly.
I said, if you have all that evidence that can, okay, usually I've been in court and then a prosecutor has asked the witness before the court session, had asked the witness, "Oh, you need to come to court tomorrow, the trial is coming up," and then the witness had to say, "Oh no, I'm no longer interested.
Mhm.
I don't want to prosecute this case." And then the prosecutor said she told the witness, okay, just come to court, come and explain this to the
Of course, of course. I was going there.
Yeah.
I was
And then when
going
he
there.
gets to court, they
Put
just
it
put him in the
in the
witness
box.
box.
Yes.
Okay.
Then tell the court you are no longer interested.
You declare him or her a hostile witness.
Mhm.
And then, like that, the matter will be prosecuted. If there are other evidences, so that can buttress or that can, that can get the perpetrator, the justice of his hands.
I think
So
that's what we need to really work on. That's what the
exactly.
the prosecution needs to really work on, because in most cases, like you said, victims, their families always think that once we say we're not doing, the matter dies in natural death. You will not believe in that instance, that particular instance I was citing. Then our lead prosecutor at the time just told the court that we thank the defense counsel for bringing the witness. Can you march into the box and let's open this case? He was so shocked,
Exactly.
so shocked.
Yeah.
The court
Yes.
now, it was so funny that day. The judge will
The
look at
court was confused.
the judge will look at us. The judge will look at you. Yes, what do you want to do? Prosecution. Yes, defense counsel, you read them. What do you want? Yes, prosecution, what do you want to do? Our lead prosecutor said, no, 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 no. He must step into the box. We thank him for bringing our
Yes.
witness. We want to open trial. And
Yes.
we did open trial that day.
Yes.
We did open trial. And then we prayed the court at the end to compel him to continue to bring the witness until it
Yes,
was
please.
done. So it was very fantastic. I also recall the case I was talking about, the girl that I took for HIV test. After some time, our parents came to the firm and told us that they were not interested in the case, that they wanted money. So if we could, reach an arrangement to get money for them from the perpetrator, they will be happy, So it was outrageous
Can
because we had
imagine.
done a lot. The firm had invested so much in rehabilitating the girl. We had even, I remember at the time, my principal had even bought her school bag, school uniform. She went to all lengths. We go to the governor's wife's office just to ensure that this case gets to court and we get justice for the girl. But our parents were not playing ball, so these are some of the challenges.
Yeah. Okay. In such cases, the Child Rights Act, which has been domesticated in various states, um, gives the prosecution the power to take such child away in case it is an underage, to take
No, she was.
such child,
Yeah, she was actually
yeah,
about. She
away,
was in primary school, maybe primary five. No, secondary school, GSS, junior secondary
to
school.
take such child away from his
Parents.
or her parents to a safe home. And
Mm.
then he or she comes from that home till the end of the trial. So
Wow.
there's a provision in that the child rights law that can actually be invoked for that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
yeah.
for pointing that out. So in your opinion, what are, or your observation, from practice, what are some of how does the Nigerian legal system compare to international standards, international systems and laws in terms of sexual and gender-based violence and crimes? You can look at it in
Okay,
terms of the laws, the enforcement, the attitude of the society, and the position of disposition of the stakeholders.
all right. I would say majorly that we have societal issues
Mm.
in Nigeria. We have not come to terms with the fact that these things are crimes. In other developed countries, they have all come to terms with these things as crimes. It is all accepted. But here we are in Nigeria, we still have people encouraging or trying to discourage you from taking up legal proceedings against the perpetrators of all these crimes. So we majorly have societal problems, having lacking the will to come into terms with the fact that these acts are, actually crimes. And that is what has been dragging us behind here in Nigeria. So that is the major issue that
Okay.
we have. It is the major issue.
How about our laws?
Personnel, stakeholders are ready to do their jobs.
Okay.
Stakeholders are ready to go all the way out. But the society that we have or we find ourselves in, it's not encouraging. It's not.
How about our laws? Do you consider our laws up to par, with international laws and this?
Our laws are robust, I must say, safe for some. The major challenge we have with our laws are, I would say, the punishments sometimes are not adequate for the crimes perpetrated. I personally have problems with the punishment. They are not grievous enough. Aside from rape that imposes life imprisonment as a punishment, every other crimes as contained in the backlog, in my own opinion, do not commensurate um, with the crimes perpetrated. You can see, for instance, a fine of 500,000 naira for abandoning your spouse and your children that is not taking care of them, because despite the fact that you have adequate means of you
Hmm.
know of doing that. So what's 500,000 naira fine or a 2-year term jail, a jail term, sorry. What is that? This punishment should be made more grievous.
I'm sure that this issue of deprivation of care and sustenance, I'm sure that
It's
many
also
people,
part of it.
they don't even know that
Yeah,
it's,
many people don't know. They
yeah.
don't know.
What are the
So,
available remedies for? I know that we've mentioned, as we were talking, we've mentioned some of them, but let's talk about it, particularly now. What are the
mhm,
available remedies, for victims of uh, gender-based
gender
violence? You said that sexual is
violence.
just under gender. So what are
Okay.
the available remedies? I know that, I'm asking because, usually for criminal matters, generally, people get sentenced to jail. So, but nothing really comes to the victim in
Okay.
most cases. So I want you to also touch on that as you address that question.
Okay. Aside the criminal prosecution, um, a victim of GBV can also approach the courts for protection for that. That's number one.
Okay?
And
Protection.
that's a purely civil, yeah, that's a purely civil matter. If you don't want your abuser near you, you go to courts to obtain a court order. Even if you are living in the same building, the same apartment, and maybe a criminal charge for physical abuse or any form of abuse has already been filed
Mhm.
or incidented at the relevant law enforcement agency, you can go forward or go ahead to obtain protection of that against the perpetrator of that abuse, even if it means in vacating the building you are living together. In cases of in domestic relationship,
Okay.
in cases of domestic relationship, you can obtain an order for him to vacate the building. Yes, of course, you can do that. Then also, if the damage is so much that you would need a lot of monetary compensation, there is a provision in the BAP law stating that the perpetrator's account, if he's an employer, can be tampered with, and then the employer can pay you directly. Yes. for as a compensation, as a means of compensation. So those are the civil remedies available for cases of abandonment. Aside the criminal prosecution, you can approach the court for upkeep or maintenance of yourself and the kids and the children of the relationship. So those are basically the civil remedies that are available aside criminal prosecution of the perpetrator.
Okay. And on the criminal side, we have instances of what kinds of sentences, and
Okay, for
penalties.
abandonment, that's abdication of parental responsibilities, performing taking care of your spouse and your children. It spans as much as 3 years imprisonment and of fine of 500,000 naira. Like I said the other time, these 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 punishments to me, they are not actually addressing the issue.
A trivial, quite
I
trivial.
Yes, very, very 3 years imprisonment for how many years of abandonment? I could remember I heard someone talk about his spouse abandoning her and the children for over 15 or 20 years. And then imagine if such person decides to take it up and then prosecute the matter. The man only gets just a 3-year term jail for 15 years of abandonment. No,
That's too
that's
long.
that's no. It does not commensurate with the pains, the hurts that the survivor might have gone through. And then for rape, I have a very, very serious issue with rape of girls that are under 11, either 11 or 13. There's a distinction between the rape of an adult, someone that is not a child, and the rape of someone that is 13 years of age and of 11 years of age. For those under either 13 or 11 years of age, the provision, oh my God, the provision we have is quite poor. The punishment is so poor. I think it's maybe 7 years in prison. I'm not very, very sure for the rape of an 11-year-old child. I don't subscribe to bringing distinction between the punishments for rape. Rape is rape for
It's
what it
rape.
is. Whether
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is perpetrated against a child or an adult. So some people are of the school of thought that the punishments for child rape should should be grievous, than that of adults. In my own opinion, I
It
quite
should be
understand
uniform.
the pain, the perspective from which they are coming from, that this person is a child. But I am of the opinion that rape is rape. So let's have a uniform punishment for it. Whether the person involved, the person raped is a child or an adult or the same sex or the same age with the perpetrator, it shouldn't matter. So those are the issues I personally have with for the punishment sections of the law. We have some punishments that are as low as 2 years jail time. 2 years, yeah. I think for maybe physical, psychological, and emotional habits. That's 2 or 3 years. That is also not sufficient. Somebody that is psychologically and emotionally abused will have a very long term effects and she would
It's
be
not permanent.
nursing. Yes, so why would you say 2-year jail term for such, previous acts? So those are personally my observations concerning the punishment sections, the punishments available for
I'm glad that
perpetrators
you
of
mentioned that. We're going to come back to that because I want to touch on the civil remedies a bit. But before we go back to
oh,
that, I was just remembering how there was a popular case, which I think it was the defilement of the fingering of an underage child. And I remember I was reading something online and people were asking, why has this person not been charged for rape? Why have they been charged for is it defilement?
Sexual harassment
Or
or
sexual
sexual
harassment.
harassment.
So I think someone
Yeah.
was trying to make a distinction, around that, because of the nature of the child, or because of the law under which the person was charged, so they
Was
cannot
charged.
charge for
Yeah.
rape. They cannot. So can you throw more light
Yeah.
on that?
Yes, that could have been the problem if a suspect is not charged under the right law. You can claim punishments provided for under that law. If he's not charged under
Mm,
the actual law that he's supposed to be charged for, you can make him, you can punish him based on the other law with which you ought to have charged him. So, for instance, like I said, I think it's only Lagos State that has given this wider definition to rape, like insertion of anything, any objects.
yes.
In other states where these have not been provided for in their criminal codes, it is expected that such acts should be charged under the Violence Against Persons Prohibition law, law. So if you don't charge under the right law, you cannot claim punishments,
Okay.
from
So if you
that
go to
law.
the criminal code,
Yes.
for instance, you can only claim what the criminal code has said, despite the facts of the case. Does the
Exactly. So
prosecutor
if the
have
age
access?
of the child, if the age of the child is like say 11 or 13, it
Uh-huh.
will be charged as it will be treated as defilement, and the
Okay.
punishment is lesser, lesser.
Does
But
the prosecutor have the latitude to charge under the law he or she prefers, or are there guidelines for charging in particular?
uh, usually you choose the law where the punishment is more stringent.
Okay.
That has been
Okay.
the practice over time. So where the punishment is more stringent, you charge under that particularly.
Okay. Thank you very much. So going back to the civil
Yes.
remedies, how does
Yeah.
a victim, kickstart the process of getting civil remedy? Especially since this is a crime. The VAP law is a
Yeah.
criminal act or a criminal law. So
Yes.
how do you
Yes.
start the process of getting civil remedies under a criminal law?
Okay. The so many states have gone further to make other provisions, like a quasi provision to their back laws. For
Okay.
instance, I know Ondo states have a sexual and gender-based violence agency,
Okay.
and the agency is now charged with how to sue and be sued.
Okay.
So coming under that, they file for civil matters on behalf of the victims. For states that do not have such provisions, they work hand in hand with legal practitioners that can provide free legal services to the victims. So that is how it works. There are other provisions. Usually, there will be an establishment of an arm of an agency or an MDA that will see to the implementation of the VAP law.
Okay. Thank you
I
very much.
understand that at the national level, it's the NAPTIP. NAPTIP implements the VAP law at the national level. And then
Okay.
coming to state level, some other states have also created or established agencies or MDAs that will handle or implement the provisions of the VAP law. So from those provisions that establishes those agencies or MDAs, the power is given to the agency to sue and be sued.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, because the channel is for laymen, for law students, for lawyers, I would ask at this point, what is the role of the lawyer, the layman, the law students, in all of this, in these emerging trends in sexual and gender-based violence? How does it affect, each person as a
Okay.
stakeholder?
Especially as a lawyer, as law students, okay. There's usually this saying that God forbid the time that a lawyer is expected to know all the provisions of the law.
Um,
But there are salient things that a law student should be abreast of. Like we said, these are emerging issues, and as time progresses, law progresses. So a law student should get him or herself familiar with the new trends in every aspect of law. God forbid a time where a lawyer, a law student will go out there and say, "Oh no, husband and wife beating each other." No, that's a purely civil matter. No, that is not
That time
expected.
is
So as
far gone.
you understand? So not only on this aspect of the law, there are other various aspects of the law that's, and I want to comment. Should I even comment? The law school is doing its job. Each time when we have new laws, they incorporate it into their lecture notes. I
Oh,
could
that's
remember in
fantastic.
2011 when the Evidence Act, the new evidence, the current Evidence Act 2011 as amended, was enacted, it was incorporated into law
Mhm.
students' lecture notes. So I don't know what aspect of law school that can cover this aspect of the GBV. I think the
That would be
criminal
litigation.
is a criminal litigation.
Yes, it's
So
criminal
criminal
litigation.
litigation, I'm sure they would have introduced some of these things one way or the other. Then the place of research cannot be you can't push that aside. We should learn to keep up.
Mhm.
We
Thank
should learn
you
to
so
keep up.
much. So, you've said that our laws as they are up to par with international standards, and that the
Oh
Nigerian
yes,
legal
they are
system in
rich.
terms of sexual and gender-based violence is really doing a lot. But you'd agree with me that enforcement is still an issue because of many reasons
Implementation,
that we have
yeah,
mentioned, because of the
yes,
cultural setting, for instance, because of
yes,
the lack of awareness, and so many other things.
yes.
A lot of things slip through the cracks. So, what do you think can be done to improve the enforcement level so that these beautiful laws will not just be sitting in the letters, but they will actually have life to them?
Seriously, awareness is the solution.
Okay.
Awareness. I still spoke with someone today, and they are of the opinion. The person was shocked. Rather, the person was shocked that, oh, you could charge someone to court for abandoning the spouse and their children. I say yes. You don't. You were not aware. She said, "Ah, she didn't know." Ah, so I had to bring out tuberculosis, and I have to evangelize. I
Mhm.
make sure I do every avenue I get. I do that awareness, and it's not in the corner of lawyers' offices or stakeholders' offices. Radio jingles, you know, to anything. Organize trainings, town hall meetings, those are things that we should bring in form of awareness. Social media, it's a very, very valuable tool, in getting these things across to people. School visitations for awareness, we can push that aside also. Training for law enforcement officers, you know, it's so sad that
They need
still
it
some
though,
of
so that
them
they won't be
don't.
turning
Oh,
abused spouses back and saying, the
yes,
father of your children,
yes.
go and
Go
settle
and
it.
settle,
You
yes,
want
go and
to
settle
send the
that.
mother of your children to jail? They really need it. They
Uh,
really need it.
yes. So awareness, please, awareness. We need to make sure that we do that. It is very, very key. Then on this social and cultural belief that, oh no, you are taking this too far, we can't do that, we can just have a round table talk over crimes.
Mhm.
What we can do to that is to bring in traditional romance, bring in community leaders, bring in people who are at the helms of affairs from rural level. Once these ones are well trained and they are aware, it will be very easy for them to convince their followers. You understand? And once we get those ones, once we catch those ones, will be able to disseminate the information wherever their leaders ask them to go. They definitely go. So I think those are very, very important because, like I call these traditional rulers frenemies when it comes to GBV issues. If you don't try to um let them know, make them aware first, and you think you can just get into their communities and start this awareness of the thing of bad law, how you can jail their children and all, they will kick against it. So it's better to just catch them first, let them know, and gradually their perceptions, it will change over time, and they'll be able to, bring that down to the people they are leading, the followers. So that's also very key.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
then
When you
when
mentioned
that is sorted,
when you
yes.
mentioned traditional ruler, I
Oh
remember
yes,
the
please.
traditional ruler that was running after his wife. And then I also remember that in 2022 or early 2023, there was a woman who was being abused by her husband, who was a public servant or a civil servant or something, and the governor of the state mediated and brought them back together. No punishment whatsoever, to the best of my knowledge, from what the media reported, anyways. So these people too, they
I
are.
think so that are also so-called spiritual leaders who have they wreak more havoc than we think. Spiritual leaders, either Muslims, alphas, pastors, traditionalists. Those ones, oh God, they are like, creating an environment for GBV to thrive the more. And I wouldn't blame them. Most of them I've treated countless cases, and the perpetrators are spiritual leaders. Most of them do these things. So when they find a member of their congregation into it, it's not something new. They rather cover it up. So traditional rulers, spiritual leaders,
So awareness is still our best
in
tool.
churches,
Mm.
in mosques,
Mhm.
anywhere,
Anyway,
town halls,
thank you, thank you,
everywhere and anywhere. Yeah.
thank you so much, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Problem. Thank you very much.
Mm,
So, a parting
yeah.
word before we round
Welcome.
up this session, and if you'd like to share your contacts, if someone wants to contact you, maybe they need to ask you some questions in this line, or they want you to come speak on some of these topics, or they need some any other legal solution, or service. So if you could share that with us.
Okay. I have my phone number can be shared. My email address tomivera07@yahoo.com.
Okay.
Um, my phone number. I'd rather use my email for him.
Okay. No, 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 that's
Or
perfect.
my social, yeah, or my
That's
social media accounts, please.
okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, viewers of Battle with Ola. On Podcast with Ola,
Welcome.
or in this episode, we've been talking to Mrs. Tomi Vera Popoola. She's a legal practitioner in Nigeria. Area of expertise, one of our areas of expertise is sexual and gender-based violence, crime prosecution, and rescue for victims. So she has shared some insights with us. I hope that you have settled down to watch and to learn, from this. And so we have shared our contact. If you need to speak to her, if you need to invite her, to speak on the panel or to enlighten your own audience on these aspects of law. Sexual and gender-based violence is a serious issue of contemporary relevance, and I'm always glad that someone like her is she's very up to the task, and very passionate about it, as you must have seen. And I hope that we talked about awareness being the most important tool. I hope that we have done justice to using that tool ourselves on this channel. Thank you so much. We'll see you in
You're
our very
welcome.
next
It's a
episode.
pleasure.
Yes.